Hello guys, what's going on? This is Word here, and I'm going to be bringing you a Heart of the Swarm game between two stellar players. The Red Protoss spawning in the bottom right. He is from Clarity Gaming, and he is CYong. His opponent, a Terran who is quite well known in the StarCraft community. He is ESCGoody. He's a very, very strong Terran, a great European player, and of course, as the hot server is globalized. I mean, I believe it's hosted on North America, but of course everybody from all parts of the world join together to play on it. We get to see cross-region matches all of the time. So this is going to be North America versus Europe, I suppose. Clarity Gaming versus ESC, and CYong versus Goody. We're going to be spawning here on Akalon Flats, which is of course the Heart of the Swarm version, so we do have the collapsible rock tower, which will spawn debris when killed, thus creating a solid wall, which can be broken down, of course. That's how destructible debris work. I'll be talking a little bit more about Heart of the Swarm features you may not be familiar with as we get into the game. In the meantime, so this is a Heart of the Swarm cast that I said I'd be doing more of. I want to get more and more Heart of the Swarm content out there, especially since the beta is going to be closing on March 1st. So I'm going to try to get a lot of casts up to make sure that you guys have lots of content to review and pour over, since it could be a little sparse for the 10 days or so, 12 days before beta closing and release. 11 days, I think. Closes on March 1st, and then comes out March 12th, so I guess it's 12 days. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, stick around, and you will see I will be uploading games. I think what I'll do is I'll try to cast some games in advance, so I kind of have a store to work from, and then I can upload them, you know, over the time period where the beta is actually closed down. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Lots of games should be a good thing for you. Just real quick, I want to let you know about a couple of things. Starting with the work I do for Clarity Gaming. Of course, if you hadn't heard, join Clarity Gaming as a caster and media broadcaster. Every week for them, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST, I do Spotlight on Clarity, where I interview one of their players. We learn a lot about them. It's kind of like a shortened version of Real Talk, I'd say. We learn about their experience with Clarity Gaming. Of course, Clarity Gaming opened a team house. We're talking to people about that. They have a few players living there. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to tune in. It's actually on the Handsome Nerds Twitch. It's twitch.tv/thehandsomenerd. And that's every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. EST. You guys can check it out. I'll interview a player from Clarity. And we're thinking about adding show matches in to each interview. So you learn about the player, and then you can see them play. So I definitely recommend it. It's a very cool show. I'd love to see you guys there. And, oop, I did not go on busy. Hey, who is not surprised by that at all? Alright, let's get me out of there. Now, the one other thing I wanted to say was, guys, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm 25 subscribers short of getting a partnership, which will allow me to customize the channel and make it much, much, much better. So, please subscribe if you haven't. It'll help things along. It'll make everything better for everybody. And I guess that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to go on about it too much. Now we can talk a little bit about this game. We are in Heart of the Swarm, and a lot of the times what players have been doing is exactly what CYong is doing. He's coming out here with the Mothership Core, and he's going to be harassing the Protoss' front with a heavy Stalker count, and of course the initial Zealot. Meanwhile, we see Goody is probably moving into Mech play. It's hard to say. I mean, he's producing a Hellion right now. The thing about Mech and Heart of the Swarm is you can get that factory up relatively quickly, and you can go for a pretty decent biomech composition. You can mix in Widow Mines, a few Hellbats, but now we're going to see CYong is going to be coming up here with these units, actually doing quite a bit of damage because Goody's bunker was a little bit late, nowhere near completed by the time these units came up the ramp. He does manage to pick off the SCV. The Mothership Core is coming up with another Stalker as well, and of course the Mothership Core does do some damage, actually snags the Time Warp on the ramp. CYong going to try to get a couple more SCVs, looks like not quite going to pick that one off. Okay, it does manage to target it down. Needs to pull back here. So the Mothership Core is good because, of course, it does its extra damage, and it can see on the high ground, but CYong has to be very careful. The Marines will take it down very quickly. It is pretty much a glass cannon, and it doesn't have a lot of shields, so it can only take so much damage before that damage does become permanent. Looks like it is going to take a few hits on that, but CYong doing a really good job stopping Goody from finishing this bunker. It looks like the combined DPS of the Stalkers and Mothership Core is going to be too much for that Hellion. The Marines almost get it down to 13 HP. CYong might have to get away now. Take a look at the units lost tab. We do see that the Terran is behind quite a bit. Lost several SCVs. 4 SCVs as a matter of fact. And I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people who believes that several means 4 or 5, so I think that's very accurate. And is he going to get the SCV? No, he doesn't manage to target it down. It looks like one Stalker is going to go down. Oh my god, it looks so brutal. Even though they're mostly machine, I still feel pretty bad for them. But CYong's still going to be able to use his vision to kind of harass as much as he can. Meanwhile, back at home, it looks like he is opening up with a Stargate. He has a single Oracle out now, and we have the Nexus going down as well. So he's focusing a lot on this early game pressure, and the good thing about this is he also got a scout. He saw Goody's command center, he saw the tech lab he saw the factory, and now it looks like Goody is going to be charging down the ramp. The thing about charging, though, it gets slowed down quite a bit by Time Warp, but oh my god, did you see that mothership core explode? That was like fireworks, that was like 4th of July. I want to make a custom map where I just line up a bunch of mothership cores and then shoot them to death. And that sounded a little brutal, but it would look really cool. I'm just going to say that right now. Alright, it looks like Goody is going to be producing Vikings. If we take a look, he doesn't know about the Stargates. We see a single Oracle out for CYong. Looks like that's going to go up top. Now, I've seen CYong stream before, quite a bit, as a matter of fact. As a teammate of mine, I watch him. So, I think what CYong is do, or at least I've seen him do, he does not care about losing this Oracle as long as he takes like 8 workers with it. And that's a pretty solid investment. I mean, right now, Goody's lost several SCVs. He's currently down 11 workers. Still in the several region. Looks like he's finally going to chase away these stalkers. And now here comes the Oracle. Now, we'll see if CYong is able to kill a lot of SCVs. Looks like so far the answer is yes, 4 going down. Before I could finish that sentence, the Stalker's keeping all these units back up at front, but finally, it looks like with the tank out, Goody is managing to keep that off, but 6 workers killed by the Oracle, and CYong is going to just keep it alive as much as he can, since it looks like the workers have been pulled away. Back at home, he is up to 34 probes himself, while Goody is down to 18, and he's actually making Phoenixes. Seems to be stockpiling them up quite a bit. 2 Phoenixes in the air, a 3rd on the way. Will he be making more? That is going to be very interesting. Of course, the Phoenixes will help thin out any Viking count. If Goody makes them to chase away the Oracle, Goody does have another Viking on the way here. The first one was picked off at the front of the base. He's starting to remake those SCVs, but he is a little bit behind, and it looks like he's probably going to be going in for mech-based style. We have 2 factories out, so it's pretty indicative, and now we do have 3 Phoenixes are becoming on the left side while the Viking chases the Oracle away. So in PvT, in Heart of the Swarm, obviously you're seeing a lot more air use versus Terran. We'll see if CYong decides to mix those Void Rays in. It looks like right now the Phoenix is going to be coming in, trying to get a couple more kills. This Phoenix so close, down to 6 HP. Oh, he's so lucky there's nothing in this bunker. Otherwise, that Phoenix would be absolutely deadsies. Totally dead wood. However, he lives for now. The Viking going to try to zone them out, but he's definitely going to need this the help of his buddy, number 1, and certainly these Marines underneath, because the Phoenixes will just tear them apart in a direct fight. Looks like CYong's going to be coming up here to try to go in for it, but really good placement by Goody. Actually manages to pick off a Phoenix there. And with that defense, CYong is also going to be sending his Oracle away. Back in Goody's base, we're seeing an engineering bay and an armory go up. So the engineering bay is certainly going to be for turrets. I really do believe Goody's going into mech. Two factories is pretty indicative of that. And of course, he's also producing tanks. I don't take any credit for saying, hey, Goody's going mech. He's got 2 factories visible, so that's not really much of a stretch. But the E-base definitely be for turrets. Ward away the Oracle. Ward away those Phoenixes that CYong has been making. It looks like only 2. CYong is now going into Colossi here. And Colossi, they were good against Mech and Wings of Liberty. They're still going to be very good against Mech and Heart of the Swarm. That range is a huge deal. Really helps zone out Hellions and Hellbats and makes tanks just a bit less effective. Of course, the benefit of tanks is that if you have enough to buffer for them, the units are just never going to be able to close in and kill them, and they can deal sick damage. Colossi, of course, with their extended range, they can reach the tanks much easier than, say, Stalkers or Zealots can. So CYong right now is actually going into a relatively normal style army, Wings of Liberty style, I'd say. He's very sparse on the unit count because he's dumped so many resources into the flying units, but he's used that to kill a lot of workers, which is keeping Goody scared and keeping him back in his base. And of course, with the mech composition that Goody is going for, that CYong is fully aware of, you know your opponent is not going to push out for quite a while. Nobody's going to push out with mech at 100 supply. You need to get 150 supply usually. Got to be on 3 bases. Otherwise, you were just putting all your eggs in one very, very flimsy basket that was probably purchased from the dollar store. And that's not going to be Goody's style. And, oh my god, as you say that, is he pushing out with 90 supply on mech? Well, it is kind of biomech. I mean, I guess you've got the Hellbats in here too, but I don't see this working too well at all. And that's why you don't see this style push very well. Or very often. We're going to have to see if it works out for Goody. I like how the exact opposite of what I was saying is just happening right now. But it looks like Goody is going to get scared away. He's scanned. He saw at least 2 Colossi. Do we have range done for CYong? Why don't we take a look? It looks like, yes, he does have the range in these Colossi. He is getting +1 weapons forged tucked safely behind the natural there. And, of course, the Observer for CYong is seeing absolutely everything that's happening in the base. Meanwhile, the Oracle, oh my god, it's had a heyday. I look away for 2 seconds. It has 15 worker kills. Goody down 19 SCVs to 41. In fact, exactly 19 behind his opponent. showing how good these guys are evenly macroing. But of course, cYong is getting the kills with his air harassment. Finally, the Oracle is taken down. We do not have another in the air. And it looks like just your standard army for cYong. Going to be very interesting against this particular composition. He's going for Blink against Mech, which is very good in the smaller scale engagements. Once it gets larger, Charge is a lot more useful because you're not going to be blinking into a giant tank army. You want to blink ahead and try to pick off 2 or 3 tanks. Once he gets up to a crazy 10+ count, Blink is just not going to be very useful anymore. You need Charge, you need to get on top of everything he's got and have those Zealots tank that tank shot. Looks like Goody's going to be taking his 3rd down here as opposed to this position. And considering the type of army he's got, it's very, very good because he can just put his Mech army right here. Put up a couple turrets to make sure Phoenixes and Oracles don't do anything too crazy. And then he's got this area covered. So for the style that Goody is going for, that is definitely the expansion you choose. A lot of the times you will see people take this expansion on this map. Of course, we see cYong doing it here, but that's because his army is a bit more mobile and can cover more ground. With Mech, you want to keep your bases in a straight line, ideally, as close together as possible. Now, Goody's upgrades, what are we looking at? 1-0 on his units, on the Mech units, rather. We got cYong with the 1-0 finish. He is getting charged now, so he's not going for any kind of quick attack with the Blink, and it can, of course, be, again, a lot of eggs in one basket. Meanwhile, Goody has gone back up to 49 SCVs, and with Mech especially, you do want a pretty healthy SCV count, but you're going to be spending mostly gas. Although, with the new Heart of the Swarm Mech, I think I spoke too soon, because obviously the Hellbats play a pretty large role in it. And they only cost minerals. So that's something to consider here. Actually, do we have a second armory for Goody? Is he making one? No, looks like he's just the 1 armory for now. Once he gets these 6 gases up, that should change. He's definitely going to want a second armory. cYong is going to come up here and see if he can use his blink to his advantage. Going to be shift blinking into the main of Goody. And, oh, this is going to hurt. Taking complete advantage of Goody's immobility. He's going to be able to pick off all the add-ons on these units. Goody is way too close to his main to bother trying to move out for a counterattack. So he has to come back and defend this. Of course, cYong can just blink out. Hellbats, pretty good. Still not awesome when it's one of them versus 12, 13 Stalkers. So, it looks like cYong is going to blink out of here. Losing a couple Stalkers there, but slowing down the production of Goody considerably, considering now, for the most part, he can only make Hellbats and Widow Mines. Doesn't actually have any Widow Mines in this composition. Doesn't look like he's making any either. Meanwhile, cYong is getting a lot of Colossi and Charge Lots, which is pretty much the best army you can have against a meching Terran. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more experimentation with air versus mech Terran in Heart of the Swarm, but generally, if you mass air against Mech, you will get destroyed just by a couple of Thors because this Void Rays, they do tend to clump up. Carriers are a different story, but most smart players, and Goody is one of them, will mix in Vikings as well to deal with the Colossi. So a transition to Carriers isn't going to do too well. cYong is going to blink in here and try to pick off a tank. Looks like he manages to get one. I think maybe he got one. This one didn't die. I'm actually not sure. Lost a few Stalkers there. Is managing to kill more and more workers, though. Goody now down to 56 SCVs. He's going to hold this position quite well, and again, this is just a huge benefit of taking this base where he did. His army is able to get there very, very quickly. cYong did try to abuse that with the Blink Stalkers in the main, and it worked quite well, but it's unlikely it's going to work again because Goody is going to have that awareness, is going to have that vision, and now Goody has like the tank count where it's scary enough that you're not going to blink into something like that. He's got the 1-1 finished. cYong himself is on 1-1. He's got +2 on the way. And it looks like a Fleet Beacon on the way as well as 2 Stargates. So, Carrier Transition I would like. Void Ray Transition would be pretty good. However, you do have to worry about the ability of Vikings to kite those Void Rays and the ability to mix in Thors and really crush a bunch of clumped together Void Rays. Anything in the air that clumps is vulnerable to a Thor. It doesn't necessarily need to be a Mutalisk. Just in case you guys aren't familiar with some of the statistics for the Heart of the Swarm units, we do have these Hellbats here. They do 30 damage to light, and, Warp Prism coming in. 30 damage to light, 18 to regular, I would say, non-light, armored, one might say. And, is he going to finish the warp in one Zealot magically finishes? I guess just, you know, the order it was warped in. So that's kind of a lucky guy. I'm not sure if Zealots who are warped in and then canceled die. And, you know what? I haven't been using this upgrades tab at all, which I believe is G. So now we can see all the upgrades they've got. Apologies, guys. I've been meaning to use that a lot more. Somebody in an email told me that I should take advantage of them, and I absolutely agree. You just got to get used to it. Looks like a Blink Stalker attack going to be coming in here. This single Zealot not quite going to be able to take down the tank, and Goody is going to clean that up. A total of 42 workers killed now for cYong. Unbelievable, but Goody's SCV production has been equally unbelievable. Back up to almost 60 already. He's taking a 4th over here. cYong doing the same at the opposite base. And right now it's been kind of a standoff, but of course the longer cYong waits, the more powerful Goody's army is going to get. He's got that +2 coming on the way. And it looks like if we check the structures tab here, we have 23 pounds for him. Interesting. The fleet beacon is done, as well as all 3 Stargates, and we do see carriers in production, which I very much like over Void Rays. But of course, you have to be very careful. They can be vulnerable to the Vikings. The Viking count not too crazy though. 9 Vikings, especially with good blink micro like we're seeing from cYong, can be dealt with. And of course, it's not like carriers can't attack Vikings. They can start shaving them down too, and then there's not going to be a lot left to deal with them. But Goody is coming in with a maxed mech push with that 1-1 done, and cYong doesn't look like he can get into a good position. Any Zealots charging in there are going to be absolutely melted by the Hellbats, and it looks like cYong is just going to go for a base trade. Does not want to fight this army head on. Goody's positioning is too good. Now we got to think about the fact that these carriers are sitting back in the base. What can they do against the 9 Vikings? 3 carriers alone, probably not quite going to cut it. The trade will not be cost effective at all. So he's going to want to try to sneak those out. But these Vikings are going to be flying in here. Mothership Core is going to try to get out there, but immediately run away. And now we see the counterattack. Oh my god, look at these Hellbats tear up these charge slots. cYong's spreading his army quite a bit so he can deal with the main, the third, and the natural at the same time. Colossi do get taken out, though. The Stalker's tearing up everything. Meanwhile, Goody is just moving in. How many carriers do we have out right now? It is 3 carriers. Possibly these next 2 might get out if cYong chrono boosts the absolute crap out of them. But right now, it is full base race mode. 2-1 has completed now for the Terran player. And we have 2-2 on cYong's units, as you can see in the upgrades tab there. Army supply, what are we looking at? 127 to 106. It's a battle either of these players could win. The carriers are starting to thin out the mech army. Goody is not going to be able to reproduce that. Both of these guys are taking out each other's reproduction. Or production, I guess I should say. And it's going to leave army versus army, and of course the last building standing. Now, especially if cYong keeps these carriers alive, Goody is not going to be able to float away. Doesn't look like he's even attempting to, though, except for the single barracks that's just been floating for most of the game. The main's absolutely getting cleaned up. Is Goody aware of the space down here? Yes, he is. He's starting to assault it. He's got a few command centers coming up, a couple of starports. The bank for the Protoss player is quite sizable. And do we have any probes out here? It looks like we have 13 probes total. A few over here at this base. Looks like I think the rest of them are over here. But, oh, okay, here we go. 1 base over here in the 2 or 3 o'clock. No, it's definitely a 2 o'clock position here for cYong. Getting up a bunch of gateways. And the army is getting in position to come deal with these tanks. Oh, but the tanks are starting to see that high ground. Actually, does he have vision at all? No, he can't hit with those tanks. What a beautiful push there from cYong. But now with these Vikings coming in, it looks like the Mothership Core doesn't quite get taken down. Carrier doesn't get taken down either. That's an interesting position to be caught at with a mech army. Meanwhile, the Colossi and Immortals absolutely tearing up infrastructure. If there's one thing Immortals are good at, it's taking down supply depots, man. Stuff goes down very quick. Supply very even. Of course, 2-2 still for cYong and 2-1 on Goody's units. We do have a base up here now. Let's see. Is Goody aware of this base? No. And is cYong aware of the base of Goody? No. So it doesn't look like he's going for, an insane base race. Literally a base race. Try to kill everyone's buildings before your own buildings get killed. cYong wants this fight to happen. And cYong's unit composition is just really strong. 3 carriers. We got 3 Immortals, 2 Colossi, 10 Stalkers with Blink. Goody, meanwhile, 2 Thors, 5 Vikings, 10 Hellbats, 9 tanks, 9 Marines. It's just such an even fight. I really don't want to give it to either of them. They've got to be very careful not to get caught out. A few of Goody's units are sent over to the 3rd, and now cYong is going to choose this moment to attack, and it could work for him. These carriers are going untouched. The Immortals shredding everything on the ground. Goody's army not quite united. A time warp going down that's going to slow down the Thor, which is pretty slow anyway, but it's not going to be able to escape. And wow, that's actually going to be GG right there from Goody. cYong's army just tearing through the smaller army of Goody. It wasn't even that much smaller, but the unit composition for cYong was so good. You'll be very hard-pressed to find a better late-game composition against Mech than what cYong had here. And oh my god, this carrier had 6 HP, so that was a pretty cool Heart of the Swarm game, guys. Again, I'd like to remind you to tune in Wednesday night at 9 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/TheHandsomeNerd to see me do the Spotlight on Clarity show where I interview a player from Clarity, and hopefully we'll be getting more show matches in there. So you can see these guys play. That'll be very cool too. So check that out, and of course, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube to support me, and together we can make a better channel and put out more content for everybody. I'll see you guys at the next cast. Word up.